The Queen Oaks are two of the largest, oldest, and most majestic members of a large oak grove remaining from Calipuyan times. This oak grove has been an important part of Oregon history since 1826, when David Douglas passed this way with the Hudson's Bay Company, building a trail to California. The two oaks, upper and lower, are about 3/8 of a mile apart from one another. Both are over 5 feet in diameter. They're the largest members of the entire grove. Modern private property ownership of the Queen Oaks began in 1846 with the establishment of the Applegate Trail. Oregon Trail pioneers of that year crossed the Rocky Mountains and were met at Fort Hall by 15 men, led by Jesse Applegate and Levi Scott. The men led the pioneers on a new route to the Willamette Valley, the southern route of the Oregon Trail, passing through Klamath Falls before turning northward up to the Umpqua Valley, where they met death and heavy rains. By the time they reached the Corvallis area, many people had died and lost all of their possessions. A few years later, the town of Marysville was established, and the Applegate Trail was largely abandoned. However, pioneers of 1846 and 47, predominantly the Mulkey family, had claimed private lands along the old trail. In 1852, General Land Office surveyors from the federal government surveyed Marysville, now Corvallis, and the Oak Hills, now the Queen Oaks Grove. Today, that grove and the Queen Oaks themselves are being threatened by residential development in North Corvallis and by a canopy of young Douglas fir trees that have grown up and over the oak in the last 40 years.
Yeah, I wrote 5 books about Oregon, and I was going to write 7, but I fell out of a tree, and Abner died.
Uh-oh.
And that was about 15, 16 years ago, or more now.
Jack Brandis and his son, John Brandis III.
Maynard?
Well, gee, Deb. Are you his son?
Yes.
Well, I'm Maynard Drawson, and I'm
That's me.
delighted to meet you.
How you doing?
Well, getting old.
Don't feel bad. I feel the same way.
Well, I had a fall out of a tree some years ago. Instead of writing 7 books, I wrote 5. And that means that I was in bad shape. I should have died. But I've got over it, and since then I've done a lot of things.
So you want a wheelchair? We're going to wheel you in?
Yeah.
I told him I'd pack him if we have to, or yell at him if he doesn't want to
What?
get packed. I told him I'd pack him if he needs it.
Okay.
I was going to write 7 books and only wrote 5, and it makes me unhappy because the best story I had was the best story that the world will never know.
Yeah,
You guys going that way or what?
Yep.
Oh, you're going this way?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah, those firs have really grown up, ain't they?
20 or 30 years, wasn't he?
Well, I don't know about that, but
He married off all his daughters.
he was the one that, I wrote a story about the first white woman to come to Oregon.
Oh, that's the woman on the ship there?
Picture of an old guy going down a trail.
You'll be on the internet. There'll be kids in Japan seeing this in about a year.
I think you're right.
Came around the corner here, and sure enough, there's one right there.
Who's got the tape?
Predicted, back in the thing here.
I don't know how this survives so much.
Boy, it did, didn't
The
it?
measurement, what is it, about 15 feet around?
Yeah, at least. It's got to be 16 or 18 feet.
I don't have a tape.
Oh, you're within city limits. That's what's nice about having.
But the thing is that this track right through here, this is David Douglas's 1826 route.
You're kidding.
No, I think it's Hastings' 1841 route, and it's definitely what became the hillside route of the Applegate Trail.
Oh, for
right through this draw here.
Is that right? Well, I hope somebody would put those markers up somewhere someday.
My truck and see if I have the diameter tape.
Oh, there
I
it is.
almost
Like
made that
7
off,
feet.
but now you
7
do.
feet.
I
But even that one,
I got an old
I think it's
style,
got to be 16 or 18 feet around.
If I had a circumference tape, then I'd know right away what it was.
Okay.
I wouldn't have to fool around.
Maynard, do you think 100 years from now people would think this was absolutely a treasure?
Yes. 100 years from now.
Thomas, how about 100 months from now?
Right the way we just did.
You know, that's interesting. There's a permanent village at the mouth of the... Of course, I got boots here. Down a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, watch out for the place. There's a lot of them through here.
Yeah. How many oaks
There
bigger
were
than
big
this
trees
round?
like this and had big acorn crops.
Mighty fine
First
tree.
people here
Well, I really think that age is
ran
close to that
pigs.
400, because some of these 3-footers
Every
are
hillside in
200.
western
Yeah.
Oregon
You know, so to
was a
get
pig
this
farm
extra 2
for the
feet,
first
it took a
40
while.
years. People
It takes
lived
a
here.
long time, you know.
Should we qualify all of these trees as the queen oaks, the whole stand as heritage trees, or should we just stick with the 2 trees? The two that
I don't know.
spectacular trees.
It's a matter of opinion.
Uh-huh.
You want to ask the foresters, you know. 'Cause
Well-
they're the guys that are using their head, most of them.
Well, these 3-footers spread out all through this grove. I mean,
Yeah.
but not, you know, these are the only monsters.
There's 2 monsters, but that's the question. Is like there's 20 or 30 of them, and so do we make the application for the heritage tree program based on the entire grove, which is in context, this is one, you know, just like one apple orchard or one filbert orchard, or do we make the application based on the 2 trees? But I think that roadbed we're walking on might be an 1840s roadbed.
And 61 inches diameter. So that old one's going to be about 62 or 3, I bet. I didn't. This guy. Well, this one's healthier than the other.
Well, we still got them, and bless their hearts, they're still doing well. And the lady that runs the fair, bless her heart, I don't know how long she's going to be there. But yeah, but I'm old.
Nothing unexpected.
Oh.
I want you to smell Indian tea.
Associated with history. They just can't be a big old tree out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
That's why it's a heritage. So this is associated with the Applegate Trail and actually the settlement of Corvallis. We could put it on that level. But then the third thing, you have to have a formal plan. So Jack is, and Timber Hill have hired me to do the very thing we discussed last year, which is develop a formal plan, and that's why one hasn't been submitted yet. So we'll have a vegetation plan that will go to the city on this, and then the development plan will follow the vegetation plan.
Oh, okay. Yerba Buena, that's what it is.
Fragrant. Is it a spruce tree?
Yeah,
What's that?
Huh?
the largest tree in Oregon.
Oh, is it the spruce up there at Seaside?
Yes.
Okay.
How about that? I got the right answer.
Well, somebody must have told you.
Well, what else would be bigger than a big old spruce in Oregon?
The oak trees are 2 of the biggest oak trees left in the valley that I know of, and there probably was a lot more, but the firs coming up has killed out the others, and it's still one of those remarkable places where we have still a little bit of the past remaining with us. And we have a lot of trees in Oregon that are here because somebody has saved them or they'd have been gone. And these oak trees are lucky that they're in a spot where they weren't cut. And so that's all I can say is that we've got some pretty big oaks in there for Oregon white oaks. You just don't see them that big anymore.
It was in white on them, so it worked out well. So.
Can you see it?
What's that?
Taking some up like Crescent Lake up in there in the Olympics. Here, just like, even though they're
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah, this one here.
That's beautiful.
Shading out the canopy in the sun a lot. You see that up there, and all you have to do is like look underneath the ground, and the madrone's got all these surface roots here, and then these here are
That's a big sucker, ain't it?
competition.
You got the tape?
The below ground from the edge there around the canopy, and I'd take 50 foot anyhow, and just cut everything about here.
Yep, about right.
Okay.
That'll be about 16 feet around, won't it?
16 to 18 foot. I'm good with that spread today. I'm going to stick with it.
Well, you're going 16 to 18, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you got 2 feet in there for crying out loud.
That's called a range. It's called range of values. Does that look pretty level to you there, Richard?
Yeah.
That's,
61 or 60, 15.7 or 15.8.
I think the record's 21, but I'm not sure. But there's no, I never seen one in Oregon that's big.
I haven't either, or Washington.
This is an incredible tree. It really, truly is.
Yep. Yeah, it really
This
is.
is really just unbelievable.
Now, what I
How old do you
like
think this is?
Oh, God. A couple hundred years old.
You always say a couple hundred, but I think those couple hundred are those big ones. I think these really big ones are 400 and 500. Does that seem reasonable to you?
I don't know, because I've counted a lot of stumps. Stuff. What I mean is you're not supposed to stretch or anything like that. You got the stick, the left eye, you reach down with your right hand and you grasp it there. Now, the important part is the part from the thumb to the top of the stick. When that measures up to the tree's height, You're in the right spot. We're behind the times. I think probably Oregon's probably about 10, 15 years behind the other settlers. In other words, they settled from the east to the west. And when you got out here by that time, they started realizing, you know, some things were more precious than others. I mean, there was a difference then. There wasn't a difference then, really. And they'd cut down everything. But now, people are starting to realize that we're losing some of the important things if we don't, you know, stand up and set them aside or do something with them. That's why the Oregon Heritage Tree Program is so important to me, because we have a lot of trees where the houses have gone, the people have died, and the trees are still there and mark a bit of history we wouldn't have got any other way. So we're a pretty fortunate state.